All right, Eat Sleep Nerd is coming at you, nerds, for a special bulletin. Because James Gunn has officially detailed his Chapter 1 of the rebooted DC universe of films, TV shows, and video games. And so we found out, after we recorded our episode this week, episode number 42, that Gunn was meeting with press, secretly, to give them all the details about the new DCU. And at the same time, the embargo would lift on January 31st, which is today, as of this recording, where everybody, all these press junkets, all these media outlets could post about all these announcements all at once. Unfortunately, Christian cannot be here with us today. He is at work, but we felt it was very important for us to get some relatively live reactions to all of these announcements, because there was just a flood of them. And we didn't want to wait a week to talk about them, even without Christian. So sorry, Christian. I know you're listening. Wish you could be here. But we're just going to talk about all of the things that were announced today and get our reactions to them, how we feel about just the entire announcement as a whole, and what this kind of means for the DC universe going forward. So before we even get into the details, they announced several movies, several TV shows. They kind of gave us updates on the already previously announced movies and how they kind of fit into the big picture. James Gunn posted like a 5-minute long video on his Twitter account, which we'll share the link to. He also did him and Peter Safran did some various interviews with outlets such as Variety to get a little bit more detailed on their thought process behind all of this. So before we even get into all of the individual things that were announced, how do you guys feel about this announcement?
You can go, Josh.
I have been rocketing back and forth pretty consistently. I'll find something and be like, that's James Gunn being James Gunn.
I thought you were going to say James Butt.
Yeah, no.
It's going to be James Butt being James Butt. No,
not yet. So no, it's for everything that gets me excited, there's one thing that kind of makes my eyes roll, but if done correctly, I could see it being cool. The few things that they specifically called out, not just what they're doing, but how they plan to do it, is kind of cool. Like the idea of Green Lantern being like True Detective. That's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. Getting an entire cartoon series for Creature Commandos, that's a dumb James Gunn thing. like of everything we could get and everything we need, and steering the universe towards a coherent and logical reboot, that's an odd thing to make sure you get into phase 1. But I don't know. My biggest takeaway would be that it is definitely a soft reboot, and if they don't execute that properly, it's going to be really weird. Like, really weird.
Yeah, so I guess my initial reactions is that I kind of flipped as I kept reading all the things that were being announced. But as I've kind of let all of this sit for a few hours, I'm actually coming away pretty excited about it, because we've talked several times about what we anticipated this announcement would be and what we kind of think James Gunn could do with the DCU. And a lot of this is kind of what we were expecting. Like, there are a lot of projects in here that have the James Gunn flair, because it is focusing on a lot of underdog characters, which is what he specializes in. But also, we are kind of getting the big 3 DC characters. We are getting new Batman properties. We are getting a new Superman, and we are kind of getting a new Wonder Woman, but we'll talk about that in a second. So he's kind of giving us both things that we were both expecting and wanting, the underdogs as well as the big dogs. Plus, he's giving me hope that it actually has a very cohesive storyline that's actually going to make sense. So I'm kind of excited about this. So I'm coming away with a little bit of restored hope, I think, but also some confusion because of, like Josh was saying, it's looking more like a soft reboot, because he is bringing in some existing characters and actors from the previous universe. The biggest one, I guess the most notable one, is Viola Davis is still going to be playing Waller, and it's actually going to be tying directly into the Peacemaker series.
Okay, but who else would you have gotten to be Waller?
Exactly. But we'll talk about that in a second. So I want to go ahead and get Jason's initial reactions, overall reactions.
High level.
Yeah, he certainly has an eclectic approach to the next 10 years for his universe. A couple things that I noticed, he's going into a couple different genres of movies. For example, the Swamp Thing movie is going to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
The Supergirl movie is going to be sci-fi. And then of course you have your DC, your main DC universe, and then you have your main actors in the DC universe who apparently will cross over between animated, and they'll voice the animated aspects of their characters, and then they'll actually play their characters in the live action movies. And then they still are open to movies that are outside the main universe, which is going to be their DC Elseworlds. So I think what he's doing is he's kind of created an environment where there can be some creativity outside the main universe and to keep things fresh. However, like you both said, there's certainly the James Gunn aspect to a couple of these characters and teams that he's chosen are clearly off the radar, if not, just off the beaten path. And they do seem a little strange, but that's also kind of what he does. So we'll see if he makes them relevant to the rest of his universe and to the Elseworlds that he's creating.
Yeah, so let's break it down into different categories. So he announced tons of movies, some of them under the main universe of DCU, but also the Elseworlds, like Jason was mentioning. So we have what they are dubbing Chapter 1 of the new DCU, and the title of it is Gods and Monsters. And they're actually saying this is not everything that it was announced today was not even the entire Chapter 1. This is just the first slate of Chapter 1. So this is kind of translating to what we know so well from the MCU, the Phase 1 of the MCU. So this is Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. And so they announced 5 new movies that fall under this continuity. And 5 TV shows that fall underneath this continuity. I believe 4 of them are live action, 1 of them is animated. And then outside of that continuity, they have what Jason was saying, the Elseworlds movies. And so these are the ones that fall outside of that storyline. They kind of live on their own. So the most notable one that we were aware of already is the Batman Part 2. But also Part 2.
It's important. It has a name now. It's Batman Part 2.
Oh, okay.
Part 2.
Also, Joker Folie à Deux, the second Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix, that is falling under this Elseworlds banner. And then also, they are reconfirming that we're still getting the Black Superman film, also under the Elseworlds banner. So let's just rewind a little bit. Let's go back to the live action movies that we're getting under Chapter 1 of the main continuity. So the big one that we kind of already knew about, but it has a little bit more details around it, Superman Legacy, coming out July 11th, 2025. It will show Clark Kent balancing his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing rather than serve as an origin story. So this is the one we knew about when James Gunn originally said Henry Cavill was not coming back, and he is actually writing this film. It's kind of going to be the thing that kicks everything off, even though it's kind of not, because it's not even coming first. So a new Superman film, Superman Legacy.
Well, I think it's bold that they already have a name and a release date. That's
but no Superman.
But no Superman.
Yeah.
And I was going to mention that later, that they didn't give us any actors.
Better pick someone who's already yoked, because they have 0 time. Hey man, we want you to be Superman. You start filming next week. Can you take your shirt off?
Right. I've been prepping for this my whole life. I'm ready.
Yeah, it's a bold move, Cotton. Yeah. No, I will say that actually is my first thought when they gave 2025 is not as far away as you think it is.
Right.
That's actually really soon, especially in a movie that is going to be effects heavy.
Mm-hmm. And it has so much weight behind it too.
Yeah. So I mean
so much is going to be riding on this.
Yeah, I guess it has the benefit of they've already been working on it for a few months now. So I mean, who knows? Maybe it's most of the way through pre-production. They just have to do the little things like pick Superman.
Yeah, little tiny thing.
But but that leads to the other thing that I guess we can go ahead and bring up now. He straight up said that all these actors have to commit to a 10-year contract.
Yeah.
Like, again, that's bold.
Yeah.
Like, even the Marvel contracts were like more about project number than timeline. You know, hey, you're on the hook for 3 movies plus 2 TV shows and a action figure line or whatever.
Well, I think Marvel kind of ran into that issue where they had to keep renewing contracts because they weren't sure how long movies would take to make. But now they're saying, hey, whether you get one movie during these 10 years or you're in multiple movies, you're in here for 10 years, regardless of how many times you appear.
Especially since they want everything to cross over.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I need you to show up on a couple episodes of this TV show, you got to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're on call.
Especially since, and again, I might be jumping the gun here, pun slightly intended. But like, he made a big deal in his Vanity Fair article, which was released also today, about their biggest plan to fix DC is to encourage writers to write.
Variety, not Vanity.
Or Variety. Excuse me, yeah. Variety. But yeah, so like the last thing you want is to tell writers they have free reign to do whatever they want, and then the actor doesn't have to show up.
Yeah, so actually I have some quotes pulled from that article, so it's a good time to bring this up. So he is quoted as saying, people have become beholden to release dates, to getting movies made no matter what. I'm a writer at heart, and we're not going to be making movies before the screenplay is finished, which
good
sounds great.
I like it.
Kind of how it should work. He went on to say, the degradation of the writer in Hollywood has been a terrible story. Writers have been completely left out of the loop in favor of actors and directors. Making the writer more prominent and more important in the process is really important to us.
I'm on board with that.
He did announce several writers that are already working on all of these projects. So it's not just him and Safran writing all this stuff. He actually has an entire team already working on all these things.
Although it is cute to imagine James Gunn sitting in a closet. And it's like he wrote the whole universe. That would have been kind of funny.
And he said a few other things. I'll link to that Variety article because it was a very good read. He'd said some very, very encouraging things about just how they are focusing on the story and not just making a quick buck. So yeah, Superman, he actually went on to say that he was quoted as saying he didn't fire Henry Cavill. He was just never cast. And he said, and I quote, for me, it's about who do I want to cast as Superman and who do the filmmakers we have want to cast. And for me, for this story, it just isn't Henry Cavill. But
why?
But also why?
How could it not be?
Especially because apparently we are retaining some of the same actors.
Right.
But not Henry Cavill.
Like even possibly Ezra Miller.
Possibly.
But
I have thoughts about that. I have speculation about that, but
I feel like Gunn was being polite.
So yeah, that's Superman. Yet again, still not too much known about this movie, but it is coming out 2025. The next big one that we know about is The Brave and the Bold, a new Batman movie. It will focus on Bruce Wayne and Damian Wayne. It will introduce the Bat family to James Gunn's DCU, beginning with a new actor as Batman and Damian Wayne's Robin. It is described as a father-son story based on the Grant Morrison comics run, which will include other members of the Bat family.
Now, is this the Talia al Ghul mom?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct. That awkward time that Bruce knocked up the old princess to the League of Assassins.
Right.
And we all been there before.
Now, no date was put on this one, so we're not sure when it's coming, but they did say this would not come out anywhere around the Batman Part 2, so there is no confusion there. So it will probably be quite a while. Yeah, at least. Yeah.
I'm thinking 2026.
Because they did put a date on the Batman Part 2, which is October 3rd, 2025. Yeah. So yeah, at least 2026, I'm thinking.
Wasn't The Brave and the Bold, though, wasn't that normally referring to a Superman-Batman storyline?
It was the name of a Batman animated cartoon.
Okay.
World's Finest was Batman and Superman.
That's what it was. Thank you. Okay.
It's okay.
Got
it. Okay. I feel like that's going to be a Chapter 2 movie. Would be
World's Finest?
Yeah, it would be World's Finest.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that.
No, this is the one that has me excited. Yeah. Because James Gunn is crazy enough to actually do live action Batman where Robin is a child. Because like for some reason that seems to be something we've always been afraid of. Every time we do live action Robins, or even the Robins in the video games, we always age them up to be like in their 20s or something.
It worked in Kick-Ass.
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's you can totally do this, and they picked a good Robin for it. Just because of his character traits. Like he was raised by the League of Assassins. He has no qualms killing, and now he's living with dad who has a 0 kill tolerance policy. Like the humor writes itself. But
yeah, that's always funny. Don't kill.
Yeah, but you also like he is literally his daddy.
Yeah.
And so like that's a whole different dynamic even compared to the other Robins. And like I said, as long as they stick to their guns and actually cast a child, I think this will be awesome.
Yeah.
And again, that they even say straight up that they plan to bring the whole Bat family into this. That's exciting. And it also means I think Batman is probably going to be a little bit older than Superman again in this. Otherwise, the timeline just doesn't work out. Like you can't have Batman in his late 20s and he has a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah. True that.
So I'm thinking Batman's probably going to be mid to late 30s. And then Superman is probably early 30s.
Okay.
So maybe Superman looks up to Batman a little bit, even though he's monumentally stronger than him, more powerful than him.
And they have different ways of dealing with the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like this is, I don't know. I think if you do it right, this could be some interesting dynamics. This one is one of the ones that made me really excited.
I know, before you realize, so like I was blasting the group chat when all these things were being announced. And I think this one kind of got buried because it was one of the first ones. And Josh replied saying he was displeased with everything. And then when he realized that I think a new Batman movie was coming, it seemed like he kind of perked up a little bit. So,
well, I mean, it's just, I mean, I knew there was going to be a Batman movie, but he's so fundamental to everything. Like, I was worried they were going to do something stupid, like push him to chapter 3 or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just, no, he's got to be there from the beginning.
Yeah. Other movies, 3 more. Swamp Thing. We are getting a proper Swamp Thing movie. This is the horror movie that Jason was mentioning. And it will investigate the dark origins of Swamp Thing.
Okay. So I'm very excited. This is another one that got me excited, and only because it gives the possibility of a couple other things. First off, the horror movie aspect, great, good, keep it, love it. In the comics, though, another very favorite character of mine makes his debut in Swamp Thing, and that would be John Constantine.
Oh.
And so I imagine, especially given how weird some of these other titles are, that we're not going to be shying away from magic in the DCU. So even if it's just a cameo, I would be so happy.
That would be cool. That would be cool. I didn't realize that was that Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing introduced Constantine?
Did.
So you know what's interesting is that there was a Swamp Thing live action television series back in 2019. And
which was apparently really good.
Yeah, it has like a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it kind of got the Firefly treatment where it was canceled before its original 10 episodes even aired. So it's kind of nice that we're kind of getting another shot at Swamp Thing, because like this TV show showed was that it is a pretty strong character by itself. It just did not get a fair shake this last time. So it is nice that James Gunn is getting it another go.
Yeah.
Are there other monstrous type creatures like Swamp Thing that are in the DC universe?
So that's the interesting thing. Like the title of this chapter 1 is Gods and Monsters.
Right.
It'd be weird if there's only one monster, and that's the only one that's really jumping out at me.
Like a jump scare like that. Or,
yeah, at least on the movie side of it. The TV shows seem to lean more into the monsters.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and finish out the movies. So the next one, a big one, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This science fiction adventure, which will be based on Tom King's amazing award-winning recent comics stories, presents a Supergirl viewers are not used to seeing.
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay.
So Supergirl, this is a relatively well-known character.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not like a top 3 DC character, but I would put her top 10, if not a little bit higher. So we're finally getting a Supergirl alongside a new Superman. So that's pretty cool.
So the question becomes, is this going to be the same Supergirl that's in The Flash?
It's a good question.
Whoa.
I think not, but because in the comics, Woman of Tomorrow, it is baseline Earth Prime Supergirl, Kara Zor-El, which is Kal-El's cousin.
Right.
The Supergirl in The Flash is Laura something Lane. It's supposed to be Superman's daughter in an alternate universe.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking not, but it begs the question.
So in one of the interviews today, James Gunn said, actually it might have been Safran. I don't actually have who it was that said that. It was one of those two. They were quoted as saying the DCU is a multiverse, but we're going to be focusing on one universe from that multiverse. And if something isn't DCU, we're going to make that very clear. So strictly adult fare like Todd Phillips' Joker or kids animation like Teen Titans Go, we're going to make it very clear that those are DC Elseworlds, just the same way that they'd be doing in the comic books. So it very well could be that the Supergirl we're getting in The Flash is different universe from what could be.
That's what I'm saying.
Moving forward.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But clearly the idea is there's going to be some cataclysmic event in The Flash that either rearranges the multiverse or consolidates the multiverse, because we are getting characters that are going to carry over. It sounds like Aquaman is. It sounds like Waller is. It sounds like. So it's just a question, man. It's just a question.
All right, it's getting too rowdy. That's enough.
Too many questions I don't have the answers to. The last movie is a movie about the Authority. It will weave in several characters from DC's Wildstorm imprint. Members of the Authority will take matters into their own hands to do what they believe is right. And this is one that Gunn worked on the outline for himself. So
I know nothing about the Authority.
Yeah, neither did I.
Neither do I.
So I linked us to the Wikipedia article. The Authority is a superhero comic book series published by DC Comics. It was created in 1999. Follows the adventures of the Authority, a superhero team mainly composed of Ellis-created characters from Stormwatch. So some of the agents: Deathblow, Engineer, Grifter, Freefall. None of these characters I've known of before. So
yeah, I've never heard of any of these.
This is going to be one of those underdog character movies that James Gunn is all about, which is probably why he outlined it himself.
Oh, it's a big Mark Millar comic. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be weird.
Let's see the members. Let's see the founding members. The Spirit of the 20th Century, the Sun God, Nightbringer of War, the Shaman, the Maker, the God of Cities, the Winged Huntress. Yeah, I've never heard of any of these.
Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting one. Yeah. And it's worth noting, yet again, aside from Superman Legacy, none of these have release dates. So these could be coming at any point. It doesn't sound like anything is coming next year. Like nothing has been giving a 2024 date of all these new things. So it sounds like maybe Jason's thing where they are, for the most part, taking a year off.
A 1 year break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So let's get into the TV shows. Leading us off with one that I straight up called, and I am so proud of myself. And it's actually one that Christian wanted to make sure he mentioned, that we mentioned for him on this episode, that he's very excited about. It is the Lanterns show. So the Green Lantern show. It will focus on both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. This enormous TV event series follows intergalactic cops Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan as they uncover a dark mystery. Peter Safran says their vision for the Green Lantern series is in the vein of True Detective. The Lantern series will play a big role in the main story that we're telling across our film and television. This is a very important show for us. So this kind of plays into my prediction that Green Lantern could kind of be like the centerpiece while they rebuild everything.
It does, actually.
Whoop!
You needed a win, Corey.
I never get my predictions right, so I'm very proud of this one.
So the way that you're explaining this is that Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart are going to be co-lanterns?
Sounds like it.
Buddy cops.
It's right. Be like Woody. Who was it? Woody Harrelson and
Matt McConaughey.
Matt McConaughey. It's going to be a Matt McConaughey, Woody Harrelson buddy cop show.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm actually really excited for that.
Yeah,
if that's how they make it, I'm stoked.
Yeah, the lantern heroes have been missed from the DC universe. Like they're so, like the Green Lantern is so powerful and prominent as part of the Justice League and everything else in the DC, and nothing.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, we get a hint.
up until like a decade ago, I would argue that just effects technology hadn't reached the point where you could do it.
Just ask Ryan Reynolds.
And then we did it one time and it wasn't good. And
I didn't not like it.
You didn't?
I know. I was going to say,
I mean, it wasn't horrible. I mean, I
actually
it.
think that movie is over maligned. Like,
I agree.
I think it became funny to hate that movie. So everyone got on board with hating that movie.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a dumpster fire. It wasn't great, but it was okay.
It wasn't horrible.
Cool
it was forgettable.
I wanted it to
but it
do.
wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds makes a lot of things watchable.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Anyway. But
anywho, Booster Gold.
But it's good. I'm glad. I'm also happy for this.
Yeah. The next TV show is Booster Gold, a character study of superherodom as imposter syndrome, for which an actor is already in talks. Booster Gold uses basic technology from the future to pretend to be a superhero in present day. So I was not familiar with the name Booster Gold, but when I looked up the character, he actually looks very familiar. It's like this is one of those characters I am aware of.
He was fairly regular in the Justice League cartoon show.
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of those characters that's like, when you first hear about him or when someone describes him to you, you're like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But he's got so much charm and it's so fun to watch that you kind of learn to love him. And now all I want to know is who the actor is.
Yeah, this is the only project that they have confirmed that they're actively working on a specific actor to take over this role. So that's got to mean they're pretty close to securing this one.
Yeah,
which is,
and it's
of
like
all the characters, why this one that they're so close to
that's what I was
an actor for.
That's what I was going to say though. Like, this is almost the only one that I want it to be a known person. You know, or like a particularly popular person. I know they're not going to get like a no name to play Superman or Batman, but I don't want it to be a huge actor.
Right, because that would take away from the character.
Yeah, I want this to be a character that makes someone into a famous actor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Booster Gold, on the other hand, like, good Lord, Tom Cruise. Make it Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise would be amazing in that role.
Yeah, okay.
But probably a little too old now. But I don't know. That's one that is kind of like, again, I rolled my eyes at first, and then I was like, no, this could actually be pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, the only time that I've encountered Booster Gold is was in the 93 Superman Death of Superman comic, where he just got his ass handed to him by Doomsday. Just everybody did.
Yeah.
So that's I mean, that's the only time that I've ever run into Booster Gold as in comics. So I wasn't completely unfamiliar with him, but he's also just one of those that are just so kind of off the radar. Yeah. So another James Gunn pick. Like, this is clearly a James Gunn pick.
Oh yeah. Definitely. The next TV show is actually the animated one we were talking about. Creature Commandos, a 7-episode animated show in which Amanda Waller creates a black ops team out of monstrous prisoners.
It's kind of her thing.
True that. And this show has actually been entirely written by James Gunn. He wrote all 7 episodes and is already in production. So I guess this is more of the monsters that ties into Gods and Monsters. Kind of forgot about this one. But I guess this is also one of those series where they're saying the animated version of characters will be voiced by the live action actors. In this case, Viola Davis will most likely voice Amanda Waller in this, as well as the live action. So this is cool, I guess.
Is it?
I don't know. I mean,
is it?
I guess.
This is going to be one of those, I'm just going to have to see it.
This is going to be like a what if type of thing where it ties into everything, but do you really need to watch it?
Well, what if kind of seemed to me like it might fall under the Elseworld banner, if we were going to compare. And this is falling under his main
primary banner.
Primary banner.
True. But yeah, so this is actually one of the ones they confirmed Gunn has written the entire thing of. So it was not just like a storyboard he wrote. He actually wrote these scripts for this show. So this is probably going to be one of his...
if they have Starro in it, I'm going to be just pissed.
I was just thinking, I'm glad he's been using his time so wisely. Mr. Gunn, you're in charge of the DCU. What's first on your list? I'm gonna write 7 episodes of Creature Commandos.
What the hell are they?
Do you know who Superman is yet? Well, I've got all the dialogue for Creature Commandos.
That's ready to go. Do it.
It's locked and loaded, both barrels.
All right, 2 more TV shows. One of them kind of a surprise, and for several reasons. Waller. So this is the one where Viola Davis will be reprising her role of Amanda Waller.
Which we knew this one was coming. This has been previously announced.
But we weren't sure if it was really going to be moving forward because of the whole reboot.
Right.
But I guess it still is. And it actually was confirmed that it will take place between Peacemaker Season 1 and 2. And it will actually feature several cast members from Peacemaker, which probably means Gunn's wife.
So no, hold on. You made the joke, so I gotta say it. It did rub me the wrong way that pretty much all of James Gunn's pre-existing projects miraculously survived the reboot.
I also called that one, and I was hoping I was wrong, but
like I get it, but at the same time, kind of a dick move, bro.
It's pretty blatant. It's not like he's even trying to hide it.
Yeah, and he kind of like looks at you like, I dare you to call me on it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm the captain now. It's just
like say it. I'll erase Batman from this universe. I don't even care.
I'll do it.
Now, I will say, I'm glad that the Peacemaker world is surviving because I loved Peacemaker. But it does seem kind of weird that that's what's surviving. But things like Henry Cavill's
Do you really want to?
I do.
Yeah. I don't know. I like her character. I like her as the actress in that character. I don't know if her character is strong enough to shoulder an entire series. She's one of those types of characters that are good in doses. To me.
Right. I don't want her to be the main character.
Right. And so I mean, it's again, good character, good casting. I don't know how it's going to work as a series. It's almost like that. Will that be too much of a good thing? Yeah.
It's going to have to be ensemble based.
So,
which they said they're bringing a lot of the Peacemaker crew along. Right. So
is that team that worked with?
I would assume so.
The bearded dude. And
yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah,
that is his name, bearded dude.
No, what did he call him?
It was he had a code
two
name.
Beard or something like that. Dye Beard.
Yeah. Dye Beard. That's right.
Beard. Yeah, you dye your beard.
That's right.
Yeah.
What is interesting is that while they did confirm, I guess they didn't really even confirm it, but we previously knew about Peacemaker Season 2 is coming. They didn't really talk about Peacemaker in any of these announcements.
Other than Waller will fall between Peacemaker 1 and 2.
Yeah, like we don't have a update on production for that. We don't know if it's how does it fit in?
What's the opening dance number going to be?
Yes.
Like I have questions.
I just thought that was suspiciously absent. And maybe it's in the middle of stuff and we'll get an update soon, but it just felt kind of weird considering it was a Gunn project.
Maybe he just didn't want people putting that together that all of his crap survived. So he's definitely not going to bring their attention to it.
Right.
Maybe.
You know, like like I said, I get it. He's a creative and in his head, he's been trying to build a universe since the start. And so like, I mean, I understand it. I still think it was kind of a dick move. I don't know. You figured out a way to keep Amanda Waller around, but Henry Cavill just couldn't cut it.
And then the last TV show that was announced is an interesting one. It is Paradise Lost. This one is focusing on the Amazons before the events of the Wonder Woman films. It is a Game of Thrones style series set on Wonder Woman's home nation. Ooh, how do you pronounce that? The
Mascara.
The Mascara, okay. Which will explore how Society of Women came about. So the interesting thing about this, I mean, several things. First of all, it's a TV show, which is bold for this character, I think. Mm-hmm. But also they specifically said before the events of the Wonder Woman films, which kind of tells us that it kind of ties into those films.
Like, are they making those films canon?
Yeah.
See, this is the first time I've seen it phrased as before the events of the Wonder Woman films, though. Every other time I've seen the press release, it said before the birth of Diana.
So that might have been... So I was pulling this from several different outlets. Maybe that outlet that I pulled that from is just assuming.
Inferring. Yeah. Because again, talking about casting again, Gunn even specifically said Gal Gadot is open to stuff. So does that mean they're still willing to talk to Gal Gadot about surviving the reboot? Or Well, that's another one that's still kind of up in there. And I think that's half the reason this TV show exists is because it gives them time to figure out what they're going to do with Wonder Woman, but still give us a Wonder Woman property in Chapter 1.
Yeah. So that was all of the new projects that were announced. So that wraps up all of the new Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters continuity, all of those new projects. Only 2 of them have dates. Actually, no, only one of them has dates, Superman Legacy. The only other thing that was given a date today was moving into the Elseworlds projects, the Batman Part 2 coming October 3rd, 2025, Joku Foley All I Do, and then the other Elseworlds thing that was announced was Black Superman. So that's all the new projects, but we did get some updates and more details about how previously announced and current projects are fitting into the bigger picture. So let's move into that. We kind of talked about how The Flash is going to be the center point for the reboot, which we kind of expected.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. So as far as The Flash goes, which is still coming out, I believe, this May. Is that correct? May?
Sounds right.
Sure.
Just
James?
10 years after we figured it would.
Yeah. So James Gunn is saying, he's gone on record as saying this is one of the greatest superhero movies ever made, which that kind of tracks with all the test screening reactions that we've been hearing about. Apparently it is a pretty amazing movie somehow. Like, I don't know how they pull that one off.
Well, you put 10 years of effort into something. And,
during his little video that he posted on his social media accounts, he said, I think we've got lucky with the next 4 movies because we have Shazam, which leads into The Flash, which resets everything, which then goes into Blue Beetle, which is totally disconnected. He can totally be a part of the DCU. That goes into Aquaman, which leads to Superman, our first big project. So yeah, The Flash is kind of, I guess, the center point of new things moving forward and kind of fitting existing things into the plan.
So this is actually a very important sentence, I think, because it tells you a lot of things without telling you anything. So, for example, we know that Aquaman will take place post Convergence, whatever we're going to call this event, post Blip. And that leads me to believe Jason Momoa will be staying as Aquaman, especially since James Gunn has also said they will not have actors playing more than one role in the DCU.
So Peter Gunn also was doing interviews today, and he came out and teased that they always envisioned the Aquaman franchise as a trilogy.
Peter Safran.
What did I say?
Peter Gunn.
I did the Josh thing.
Which was a good show.
Peter Safran said that they've always envisioned originally that Aquaman would be a trilogy, kind of teasing that Jason Momoa is coming back for an Aquaman 3.
The surprising thing out of all this, actually, out of all the stuff that we talked about, the most surprising thing is that Shazam is going to lead into The Flash.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm not sure how that connects.
Right. I don't think there was any expectation that either movie was going to be connected, and yet here we are. So that surprised me.
And you know what? No one has said much about Shazam post Flash. So poor Zachary Levi.
Right.
And he also confirmed that Blue Beetle has, I guess they meant it to be a relatively independent film, and so they can just kind of rework it slightly to fit into the bigger picture. So I guess Blue Beetle's fine.
I mean, yeah, good for them, because I hear that one's supposed to be really good too.
Yeah.
Like test screenings have been positive.
And then what else did we get updates on? So Aquaman 3 teases.
Right.
Neither, I guess, Gunn and Safran have had no comment on the future of Gotham Knights on the
because it's going to be trash. And I mean trash. When your trailer is trash, that's bad.
I didn't think it was trash as much as you did, but
someone's whole job is to take the best parts of your product and make it look good. And that was still a dumpster fire.
I still haven't seen it.
That looked like me 15 years ago in Adobe Premiere trying to put a trailer together. It was bad. Just awful. Abysmal.
So you didn't like the trailer?
It was awful. And just the production value on that show looks so bad. Batman was literally just a dude in a suit with like a clay cowl on his face. Go watch the trailer.
Okay, I'll go watch the trailer.
I didn't think the trailer was that bad, but anyway. So Superman and Lois, they have said will continue for 1 or 2 more seasons, so it's not getting canceled.
Good.
It's going to give its little...
Which I think is nice. That certainly seems to be a fan favorite right now.
Yeah.
So that's nice. that they're doing that.
Well, you don't have a lot of choices.
Right, but I mean, it's actually like,
It's good. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Obviously, we knew about Peacemaker season 2. That one's still coming. They have confirmed that Pennyworth is still happening. And they clarified that the plan is to release 2 movies and 2 HBO Max series per year. And I guess it actually is a good point, is that all these television series will be on HBO Max. As far as the new film projects go, they're in talks with 3 directors out of the 5 movies that have been announced. All in all, they currently have an 8 to 10-year plan with 2 chapters being worked out. All actors involved will sign roughly 10-year deals for movie and TV appearances. Big plans. Gunn has also said he's not sure if he'll direct any of these projects or if he'll continue to just write. That's all I got. Those are all my notes.
Okay. That's a lot of notes.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff.
It was a lot to talk about in a 10-minute press release.
There are certainly aspects of this that are promising. And, it, like you were saying earlier, Josh, if they do it right, it could be really, really wonderful. If they do this soft reboot incorrectly, it's going to be just a mess.
Well, here's the thing. And I think this is the big thing that we've talked about, but I think we've kind of forgotten, is that before this, DC movies never had a plan. Even under Snyder, there was not much of an announced plan.
No, he had his Justice League plan, and that was it.
Yeah. But now we have a big picture plan and concrete details about what is going to be happening, which we've never had with DC before. And I think that's a really good sign for things to come. Even if all the projects don't hit, maybe just the characters or the writers working on a project just don't work out. I think overall, this is all good news.
Touche.
Tucci.
Well, all right. So
I think that's a lot.
Yeah. We were planning for that to be like half an hour, but I knew it wasn't going to be. So
that was a full hour.
Just a bonus week. You get 2 basically full episodes.
And
Christian, we certainly missed your input on this one, man.
I was about to say that. Yeah. Christian, I'm so sorry.
We'll get his full opinions for the next episode. Because who knows? There might be more information by then. I don't know.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, as what always happens, more information leaks out as they do more interviews and stuff. So I'm sure this will come back up in some capacity on our future episodes, if not next week. So, yeah, big day. I'm upset it came out on a Tuesday, so we couldn't have had this in our main episode. But it is what it is. Of course not.
We knew he was going to do this, though. Yeah.
He waited till the very last possible day before the Congress of the United States sued him or whatever. That congressman was saying.
Him.
Whatever.
Yeah. No, my favorite, someone did the Daniel Craig dancing meme. It was like James Gunn on his way to announce the DCU slate at 11:58 on 11:58 p.m. on January 31st.
I mean, you can't do it without some dramatic flair. You got to wait till the last minute. Is he going to do it? Is he going to? Oh my God, he came through.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, the last thought, does this get you more excited for the current movies coming out this year, such as The Flash and Aquaman 2 and stuff like that? Does it kind of re-energize you a little bit?
Well, I've always been waiting for that Flash movie because
I was going to say, like, I think I was already as hyped as I could possibly be for The Flash. And I don't mean that in a, like, I'm so excited I'm vibrating kind of way. I mean it in a I just don't trust this and I don't know what to think of it. And I'm as excited as I'm going to be. So let's just see it.
The first trailer comes out pretty soon. This in February,
Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
So I guess we'll see.
I hope they don't ruin it, by like...
Are we allowed to say Super Bowl? Do we have to say the big game?
I don't think that's... Oh. I don't know.
The big football thing
I don't know.
that they have in February.
That football thing. I guess people still watch that. Sports.
They do still watch that, Corey. Yes. You may not. We may not.
I'll watch it this year for the commercials, specifically The Flash, but...
Same.
And the $100 million Jesus commercial. No, that's a thing.
What?
Yeah, someone spent like $100 million for a Jesus commercial.
Okay,
cool.
Okay.
Saw it on the CNN.
Good for them.
Yeah, it's neat that you just had that kind of money, but whatever.
So be on the lookout for episode number 43 coming out next week, as always. So see you guys then.